I hope today's video surprises you. We're going to take these eclectic bird fabrics and we're going to put them together. I realize the colors seem like they shouldn't ought to go together, but hopefully when we're done with this process, you will be able to take your fabrics and put them together in a way that will be surprising and fun. I'm looking where the motifs are, and I'm cutting so that I get a good motif down the center because we want these bigger motifs to be able to show themselves well. I'm cutting 8-inch strips of every single fabric. So this works really well if you have small pieces of yardage you just want to use up. This one looks like it should not belong at all. This weird green with chickens that aren't realistic at all and look like they're doing silly things like taking a bath. But it's all going to work. The birds with the hats, it doesn't matter that the styles of these fabrics feel like they don't go together, and the colors are certainly odd. I understand that, but stick with me and you will see how this quilt works together for good. This is such a fun, fast, easy quilt to make. So we have our 8-inch strips and I'm looking. Right side, upside, downside, are they directional? This one isn't. It can go either way, see? So it doesn't matter. So I lay them so all the tops are at the top and the bottoms are at the bottom, and if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. And I lay them out. Notice how that turquoisey green teal is bright and the yellow. Those are the ones when you look at them that really stand out. So I'm balancing them by putting them a couple from the top and a couple from the bottom so that you can really see that's what's going to make our pattern, and it's what's going to make the cohesiveness of this quilt so that it works. I take a picture with my phone because I'm going to want to be able to reference it and make sure all the strips are where I tell them to be. Sewing these are a breeze. You just have to be consistent with yourself. Pick a size of a seam that you're happy with and keep it consistent. As you finish sewing them, press them every single time and make sure that that seam is pressed completely open with no tucks or folds. This will bless your life in the end as you're working on this. I always set up one side so that it consistently tries to stay even. The other side is going to go ziggy-zaggy because all the widths of fabrics are never the same length. It's just how it is. Now that the first seams are sewn, it gets more and more fun. You can see how the fabrics are starting to go together. The 3 pinks, the pink on the end, the reds where they are. So we need to fold them in half. Be brave. It's going to be fine. It's a little bit tricky. I'm lining up where the seams are and I'm trying to make the fold be as exact as possible to go halfway across. So I fold it and then I lay it out. I try to line up the bottom. That's why it matters that my seams are straight with each other, and then I fold it. I make it straight so that it's not curvy or pulling or doing anything it shouldn't, and I lay it out with my straight edge that I sewed as a straight edge on one side because I want all the yardage I can possibly get as I trim this quilt and get it ready for the next step. This ruler is just to show you that close enough is good enough. We don't even use it when cutting. We use the big, long 6-inch ruler. It's exactly 6 inches. You can see it with the squares. I cut a straight edge off, as little wasted as possible. There's even a little selvage there for you to see, and I check it. Looks great. Now that the selvages are cut off, it's time to cut the strips. And because I'm right-handed, I'm going to flip it around so that I can cut from the same side of the table, because some of you need to stay on your same side of the table. I cut one width of the ruler, and then I just need to tell you how grateful I am that I have amazing, wonderful titanium coated blades. There's 4 layers of fabric with seams in between, and it's cutting like it's nothing. If you haven't tried these titanium blades, you might want to. As you cut these strips, keep checking to make sure the fabric is straight. It just does this. It gets a little off. So instead of cutting that off, I'm going to cut this second side and then run around my table. My cameraman's in the way, but I manage it. We want as much yardage used as possible, so we waste as little as possible. As I come to the end, this last strip isn't going to be big enough. And some yardage it is. I've gotten away with cutting a full one, but whatever size you can get out of it, you cut whatever size. Oops, look, that didn't even work because one of them was even smaller. I have to go back and trim more off because I want to use this strip with as much usable fabric as possible. So that's what I'm doing here, is getting as much usable fabric fabric as possible, which ends up being, I think it was 3 or 3.5 inches. I don't know. Roll the camera back if you want to figure it out. We're just going to lay it out now. That smaller strip becomes the center of our quilt. So that is what it marks. There are a total of 7 strips, 3 on each side of the skinniest middle center strip. And if that center strip is full size, it's okay. It can be any size up to that. Now we're going to stagger them. Half of 8 inches is 4. I have to cut off 4 inches of the bottom of every other one. And this ruler comes in so handy in measuring that 4 inches. Exactly 4 inches. And then because these fabrics are directional, I pin them so that I don't get it upside down. I want the ducks to be facing right side up at the top. 4 inches is what I'm going to do. So I have to cut off 4 inches of the center so that it too is going to stagger. And this is going to add this really happy way to see the quilt. When you stagger it, there's something it does to your brain that makes it cohesive. It's really easy to get the other side of the quilt ready because that center strip also needs 4 inches taken and put at the top. There will be a total of 3, the skinny little one and the 2 side ones, and we take them to the machine. We sew the same size seam as we used when we sewed the big strips together. Be as accurate as you can and line up the corners. There's nothing rocket science about this. You just sew them together. The rocket science comes in a minute when we sew these together, and I will teach you the trick for that. But you lay them out the way you want them, and you start seeing how great this is going to look as they stagger and come together. I press them. It doesn't matter which way the seams are going. They're not ever going to match up or touch each other. What I'm paying close attention to is the top. That's the part that matters. The top must line up. It's not going to line up on the bottom, and I'll show you why in a minute. You press these seams, and at the bottom we have it a 1/2 inch off because remember we cut those 4 inches apart and we added another seam. So every other strip will be 1/2 inch smaller at the bottom, and that's expected. It's supposed to happen, and we'll fix it in a minute. It's the top that you want to pay attention to so that this quilt lines up. As you sew it together, just do the very best you can to line it up as carefully as you can. This is a forgiving quilt because we get to trim the bottom. If you're close, it's going to work. Yep, that's about a 1/2 inch again. It's going to be great. So you just press it open, press the seams flat, make it so this quilt lays perfectly, wonderfully flat. This pattern works really well with these eclectic fabrics, but it would look so great if it were like all blues or all greens or all yellows. We then take the quilt over to the cutting table and we trim off those little 1/2 inches. More or less 1/2 inch, exactness doesn't matter here. They line up with the rest of the ducks. So you simply trim it off so that it looks like a straight bottom and wait till you see. I love that this pattern uses every bit of the fabric, and that middle strip that's skinnier, it just looks really good in the middle right there. And it makes it so it just flows through perfectly. I haven't decided which binding. I'm debating between the yellow and the teal. If you have a vote, tell me in the comments. Stay merry and creative.